everybody, and welcome to the Torras AI podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Pere Codina was CEO and co founder of Kompyte, a competitive intelligence platform acquired by SEMrush. From there, he now leads the go to market for competitive intelligence products. With a background in AI, tech entrepreneurship, and market strategy, Pere is also a mentor at the 500 Global Startup Accelerator in Palo Alto, sharing his extensive expertise and know-how. Pere, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Charlie. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So could you share with us your journey in entrepreneurship with Kompyte and SEMrush and the whole story?
Sure. Before founding Kompyte, one of my co-founders and I, we first founded another company here in Barcelona. It was called Cocosoft. We did computer science there, so we have like a computer science background, and we dropped out and founded this first company. It was not a big hit or anything like this, but because of this company, we ended up founding Kompyte, right? Kompyte, as you pointed out, it's a competitive intelligence software that has the ability to track and see everything your competitors are doing in real time. And from here on, you can automate all the reporting, especially sales battle cards, right? So Kompyte started in Barcelona. We first thought we were going to sell this to every single local company around us, and that didn't work. But we ended up finding, I would say the first product market fit experience we had was with like US-based companies, most of them in the Bay Area. This is how we ended up in an accelerator that at that time was called 500 Startups, and how we ended up moving to the US. When we moved to the US, we moved to Austin, Texas, and we continued growing from there. Went through the pandemic. And I think like a couple of years after the pandemic is when we sold the company to SEMrush. Kompyte got acquired, and then from then on, we've been working with SEMrush, helping them, with all the go-to-market and competitive intelligence.
Wow. So this is an inspiring story. And somehow it kind of a parallel, right? These two guys from Barcelona, we started a company, we moved to the US.
Three guys.
And
we hired
that's right.
We had the previous company, we had an intern that he was like, it's called CFIS. These guys, they do like, they are geniuses. They do like two engineering studies at the same time. And one of them happened to be by accident our intern. And he joined Kompyte as the third co-founder, and he was the CTO. Yeah.
What a story. And did you say that you were also a college dropout?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Co-founder and I. The CTO, no, he finished.
Okay.
But the other two, Albert and I, yeah, we dropped out. Yeah. Almost finished.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. All right. So you know a lot about competitive intelligence, right? So we would love to learn more about competitive intelligence, competitive intelligence software, and how AI plays a role nowadays in competitive intelligence software.
Sure. So first things first, we're kind of like gonna narrow it into what we call competitor intelligence. So competitive intelligence involves like a lot of like additional stuff. Sometimes it's confused. So we kind of like focus in like, okay, competitor analysis or competitor intelligence. Long story short, what are the other guys doing and how can I use it in my own, company or in my own benefit? Okay. Typically competitive intelligence, we design a framework, right? One of the things we did at the beginning is how can we help companies get the most out of competitive intelligence, right? At some point, we realized like, oh, all these guys, we're sharing all, suddenly they have like all this information available and they don't know what to do with this. So the way we solved this was by designing this framework where we basically break it down like in some stages. So like the first stage is like you collect data, then you organize it, meaning like, you take all these things, all these updates from your competitors, and you update your own reporting. Like if you have like a sales battle card, then you go and you update the sales battle card with the news, right? And then next step is sharing the intelligence with whomever has to use it. And next step is taking action. Something has to change. If nothing changed, there is no value in intelligence. Last step would be measuring it. So if we have like this framework in mind, where I think AI brings the most value is the very first stage in collecting data, right? This is where we actually leverage AI before the AI boom, right? The biggest problem when you start looking at every single thing 10, 20, 30 companies are doing, it's the noise versus signal ratio. Out of all these things that are changing on their websites and everything they are posting, what is important, what is relevant, and what is just noise? Sometimes you could say, like, you have to imagine Kompyte as kind of like a social, like a social feed of your competitors, where you see like everything they are changing anywhere, right? So imagine the first version was like they change a date, or we would go out there and scrape, and then hey, this has changed, right? That was okay. The problem with this is like 90% of everything they do is like useless. Most of it is useless for any company. It's like, just like changing, like fixing typos, things like this, right? So the first thing that you can do, or the first element where AI it's really helpful, is separating noise from signal, right? So what we did is we trained 3 neural networks. So combined, we had 3 neural networks combined to make this decision and to classify the updates, right? So what is this about? Is it a change in pricing? Is it a change in messaging? And all of this was like pre-LLMs. Now you add LLMs to the formula and you have the perfect classification system, right? So suddenly what you want to do is like hundreds of hours of manual research condensed into, something, a feed that you can digest in just a few minutes, right?
Wow.
And so we did this first, before the LLMs, without LLMs, and then, last step is having LLMs there so they can help process and summarize what's going on, right? So once you have all this, now you can tell LLM, okay, summarize everything my competitors did, and send me a Slack message with this, right? And that simplifies a lot the first stage. Second stage, or second element, it's what is also helpful is in the organizer stage. So when it's time to build these reports, and that really depends what the report is for. But one of the biggest use cases of Kompyte, it's sales battle cards. Sales battle cards, it's a very short, a very short report or very short summary used by sellers to win deals with their competitors. So it's like a cheat sheet. What am I going to say to win this deal? The last thing you want to do when, say, your sales rep is in a call or in a conversation is to get them to go through like tons and tons and tons of documents of competitive information. So you have to, condense all this competitive messaging in one page, right? Now, if your competitor is doing any change or is changing anything, you need to update these battle cards, right? And then make sure these are available for everyone and so on. And here's where LLMs are super helpful, right? So battle cards, if you take the basic, the 101 battle card, it's going to be, weaknesses and strengths of these competitors, like why we win, why we lose to these guys, right? And then, with a combination of this and our own weaknesses and strengths, probably in the battle card, you don't want to like include our weaknesses, you want to include only your strengths. And you should never include anything in a battle card that you don't want to hit the customer. Right? So, you combine this, you combine the competitor's weaknesses with your strengths, and you end up building, certain bullets of information that, for example, like landmines or kill shots. Landmines is, what the sales rep is going to say at the beginning of the conversation when you still don't know if there's going to be a competitor or not in the deal, but you suspect the competitor may enter the deal at some point. You can train your reps to say certain things so that they end up, leaning, like, so that the prospect ends up like leaning towards your solution versus the other one, right? So you end up reinforcing your, based on your strengths. And then the kill shots is like, okay, how do you guys compare to this competitor? This is the key moment when you want your sales rep to be like perfect, right? Either by email or in a sales call. And if you want to do the experiment, I think you had sales reps. So, take 5 or 10 of them and ask them, how do we compare to this guy?
Mhm.
And listen to the answers, right? So what you want to do is you want to make sure this is the less different possible. Now it turns out all of this is language.
Of
All of
course.
this is sentences, short sentences, summarized, and so on, right? So I think it was at the beginning of LLMs when the first GPT boom. We
Mhm.
ran a couple experiments, and it was wow, we can fully automate this. Just you send the prompt, you tell the LLM, this is what we're looking for. This is how a good landmine or how a good kill shot is. Just do it for me. And you can do most of this with LLMs. And today, I would say you can do 90% of this.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly possible. So I think it's this is one of the areas where it can help the most.
Uh-huh.
Also, for if you're going to use this intelligence in marketing, it can help you with everything messaging and so on. And it could even help you with positioning. I would say maybe previous versions don't, but the most recent versions they're pretty good at understanding what's going on out there. Yeah.
Wow. So you guys were pioneering already with neural networks, and
Yeah.
I would call it the old,
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
predictive AI, but with the arrival of powerful LLMs like GPT and the like,
Yeah.
now all the capabilities just exploded, right? In the kind of things that you guys
Yeah,
can do.
because at the time we started, all the, let's say, scraping based competitive technology was mostly pricing intelligence. So
Mhm.
companies that will go out there, scrape all your products in an online shop or, Amazon, whatever, and keep this price and, product information on a table so that you can make pricing decisions and then automate these pricing decisions. This was scraping, maybe some big data, but that was it. Ultimately, it's a price, so it's a number. You can add it, subtract it, whatever, right? Um, what we focused in was something that was the unaddressed need that we identified was when we wanted to do it for companies that were not e-commerce.
Mhm.
So all the websites were completely different, and everyone has their own website. They more or less have the same sections, but they can call it differently. They can look different. And then, with the features page or how do you know the services of a company if they have changed or not? This was a complex problem. And at the beginning, we only worked in noise versus signal. That took years of training and trial and error
Yep.
until that fit was really digestible, right? And then after that, we started focusing on classification. And classification is what really makes classifying all these updates. And then, okay, this is a pricing change. Okay, this is a change in feature. So this is a product feature. This is a blog post. Because if they just added a blog post, you don't need to add
Mhm.
update. Hey, something happens. No, it's
Mhm.
another post. But if they announce something that's important, right? Um, so we kind of and ended up building all these with these three neural networks. One of them was focusing on the HTML content.
Mhm.
The other one was focusing on the visual, right? And the third one was
Okay.
focusing on text. And this was
Got it.
pre-LLM. So now imagine the moment you add the LLMs here. You suddenly solve the problem, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Because ultimately, with the whole competitive intelligence, is hey, these are, and I had the opportunity to work a little bit with Kompyte, right? It was it's an amazing technology. So you say, hey, these are my competitors, competitor one, two, three, four, five, right? I don't
Yep.
know how many would you say, and then it's like having a little spy of sort, or right, having
Yeah.
someone who is all day
Yeah.
long just looking at the internet, at the website,
Yep.
just checking if anything changes or anything that is important changes, and say, hey, wait a minute, your competitor number three just changed the prices, so you should
Yep.
take a look to it, or look at
And
that, competitor number four just got acquired, or whatever it is, right? So
correct.
that's amazing, super valuable.
Yeah. And this is I mean, I think like the way you phrased it is like the sexy way to phrase it. Like
That's
because
the
it's
way you
who
phrased it to me back in time.
I know. Who doesn't want to know? That this is how you sell to a CEO, right? It's
Yeah,
like who doesn't want to know what competitors are doing?
exactly.
Like everyone wants to know it, right? Um, the thing that took us the longest though is when you have to like prove the ROI. What's the ROI of knowing what the competitors are doing?
Right.
How do you measure? Is this like a $10 or a $10,000 or $100,000 product, right?
Good
What has
point.
to happen for this to become like a 50K, 100K product, right?
Correct.
Um,
So
and this
it's not a
took a long
nice
time.
to have, but it becomes a have to have
It
because you
depends.
can compute the ROI.
Yeah, the thing we learned is that to compute the ROI, you have to really understand where and who is going to use this intelligence.
Mhm.
It really depends on who uses the intelligence, right? So you can like, go back in time and, you happen to meet Elon, young Elon, and you tell Elon or Bezos, look at this is a neural network and it's an attention model, and with this we can do this and that, right? But you can share the same information with your colleague, at school, and you're sharing exactly the same information. It's just like one guy is going to build a multi-billion, trillion-dollar company, and another guy will just like, okay, interesting. It's the same intelligence, right? So the use case, like who is using this intelligence, is the most important part when it comes to ROI. And for us, it was like the moment we focus on like on sales, like helping sales win more deals, right? And then it's like, listen, the sales guys that use these sales battle cards, if provided that the battle cards are good and they are up to date, um, they close more deals, they have higher conversion rates, and in highly competitive landscapes, if I win a deal, the other guys are not winning this deal. So every deal won it's like 5 deals lost or 10 deals lost in other CRMs. Right.
Right.
So you have to understand this. Like you don't buy two times the same product or things like this, right? So
Right.
so um it's very, very valuable to win deals. And if a deal gets competitive, it means someone is going to win it, right? Some other deals is like you're going to lose them to other reasons. But when you lose to a competitor, you probably did all the work. You
Right.
did everything. Like you,
It's
you
the
know,
worst
you paid for
case.
the
You
marketing, you paid
spend
for
all
sales.
if you are like second,
That's it.
that's you did the
And
same effort as the winner.
And then if they send you the feedback or you hire a win-loss, win-loss agency, you do like some win-loss analysis, and then you realize that the deal was lost for something that is not true. The rep at the competitor tricked the customer into
Into
thinking that
believing
you
some. Yeah.
that you don't have something that you do have. It's just like your rep did not position this, or your rep did not use the messaging, right? And I think this is like also one of the elements where it can be like super helpful is once the intelligence has to be used or it's being used, right? So you can, first of all, you can have co-pilots, you can have like in-application technology, but then also when it comes to like making sure that the intelligence is being used, it's so the first level is the reps that open the battle card are winning more deals or not, and how many more deals and how fast they close these deals. Like, you intersect the CRM data with the usage of the sales battle card of the report. But you can go deeper. You can go deeper now and analyze. If you have like all the transcripts of all the sales calls, and you have like all the messaging that's been like exchanged, like all the communications with the customer, you can end up figuring out, okay, so we changed the kill shots against these competitors. Now, whenever we find this guy in a deal, we should be saying this, and this. Is this happening?
Right.
And the guys that do it, are they winning more or not?
Hmm.
Right? And LLMs solve this.
Yeah. So from what you're saying, it looks to me that the whole industry of competitive intelligence, the winners of that industry will be the ones who learn how to best use AI. Wouldn't you agree on that?
Yeah, and here's like not only in I think it's in every single industry or in any single software industry. This is what Yeah. I think AI redefines software, everything.
Wow. Wow. That makes a lot of sense. So we see like competitive intelligence and many other areas where AI is basically enabling big success and innovation. But for many other companies, they are sometimes overwhelmed, right, by the hype of AI. So, what kind of approaches would you tell companies that are looking into integrating AI? What should they do?
Just I love it because this reminds me like year 2000. What should a company do if they want to like use the internet, right? Or
It's kind of that question. That's
get
right.
get get an email, right? Get an email address. Now I think they like yeah. If the problem is overwhelming, then just like go step by step. Um, One approach that I think it's gonna be like helpful. I'm thinking of like the not the hyper technology company because like or the companies that are like tech driven companies because these companies I assume they don't just do it, right? But to me it's like two things. One thing is like take something that it's very boring and like pick a task that it's very boring, repetitive office tasks like cleaning something, not like manually cleaning stuff.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah.
that you need a robot for this, so it can happen. But let's think of like, people that's working with computers. What is like this boring, repetitive task they have that they have to do
So
every
I
day?
have this
And
person, it gets email. The email's inside, there's an attachment with an invoice, and somebody
yeah,
opens that invoice and gets
that's it.
into the ERP and blah blah
And
blah.
then,
That's
and they
super
put it
boring.
here and they put it there. And then like pick one task, like, brainstorm with your employees or with the team. Hey guys, what is the thing that we hate the most at work? It's nice. Like, just have like some wine or some drinks ready for right after. But okay, what is the most boring task in the company? And then just focus on solving like automating like 80-90% of this task, right? And I think this is because I think that's super useful because this is gonna like stop the resistance, which is the second part. It's like do not resist to AI.
Right.
This
Use
is the
it as
second
the
thing.
opportunity to make your employees be more
Yeah.
productive, doing more
And
creative things.
and if you see that your employees are using AI, yeah, good. I mean,
Love
just
it.
like do it. Like they'll ask them to do it. Like you don't need to ask them like you guys should use more AI. But like if you see like the laziest employee is using AI, yeah, good news. That's what you want, right? Then like take a look like what are they using AI for, right?
Mhm.
And it's they're no longer kids and not studying, so they can use calculators now, right? And spreadsheets. So this is like think of the AI as like the spreadsheet of the words. Uh, so if if you that's how I think is like if you're gonna do a task
Uh-huh.
and you don't start trying to solve the whole thing with AI first, you're doing it wrong.
Right. I
That's
love it.
that. This is
So
how I operate now. It's like
yeah.
I'm gonna do this. Okay, can first question, can the chat or can the AI do it all of it for me?
Hmm.
No. Okay, what's needed for this thing to do it for me? Maybe like some additional training, maybe like a custom GPT that you can train for your own purpose, for this purpose, right?
Right.
They're like, I tried, but I don't like the output. It's like, what do you don't like from the output, right? Because if the whole prompt is like, one or two sentences, write this, and then you think it's gonna be make magic, it's not gonna happen, right? But if you train, your own, let's say now you train your own GPT to do something that's helpful, right? That can
Mhm.
be like really helpful. And if it's like a more specific application, this is even better.
Yeah.
But I would try like just like don't resist to AI. Don't do it because you're just like gonna end up accepting and it's gonna be late. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be just you're gonna be just the last one when
Yeah.
it's already too late.
That's correct.
I
That's
love
correct.
it.
That's correct.
Now, on the other hand, right? So we see this arms race right now
Hmm.
to see who is developing the cooler model and spending hundreds of millions of dollars in GPUs and this the big ones in AI just fighting over creating the next
Mhm.
big model. But for you, what is the most important thing that AI is still missing right now in 2024?
I couldn't say one single thing. Right? So
Okay.
I would like it to be, technically like, okay, can it have like better reasoning? Can it have like a consistent chain of thought? Can help me like, have like less hallucinations, or can it be more authentic? But one thing that I found is like I was always complaining it's not authentic. And then I realized like if I spend enough time, it starts to be more authentic.
So you can
So
you can prompt in your authenticity to some extent.
you can force it, or you can get it somewhat better. And models are getting better. So I think AI is in diapers right now.
Mhm.
What we are seeing is like, yes, it's costing billions, whatever, but I think we're seeing the netscapes, the netscapes of AI,
Oh man.
which is like, oh, cool. Like this is a browser. We can do things with
The
this.
browser, the
Yeah, we
Netscape
can,
browser,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. We can see websites. Look at these like sites that they load, and they load the image, and oh, it's powerful. And then some guy thinks like people is gonna buy books with this, right? And we're like at that point right now. And you can send emails to other people, right? And you can open the email, and it's like better than
And you could
fax.
have like a form and then a CGI, which
Yeah,
nothing to do with computer graphics, but guess, oh, look at that. With that form
right.
online, you can have a user send us something.
That's it. So I think we still need to see the Ajax moment
Mhm.
of AI, when suddenly we start to see like tons of applications build, and frameworks build to build applications, and things starts scaling. So I think we're gonna see it at some point in the upcoming years, but for now we're like there. Um, I think one thing that's really missing is like safety and security.
Mhm.
Um, um, we have seen this with just like simple neural networks, how much they can damage brains. And they do it at scale. I mean, yeah, but no one is really kidding. Like most of the people just think that you can like that logging into using TikTok or scrolling reels, it's healthy. It's normal. Like nothing bad is gonna happen to you for looking at TikTok. And this is like everyone looks like this, or nothing bad is gonna happen to you for looking at reels in Instagram. It's like you're wrong.
It
It's it's
will. It
it's
is
fry
happening.
it's frying your dopamine circuits.
Oh man.
It's happening to every single person, and you will see the consequences. We're gonna see the consequences of this. So people is not paying attention to this, and no one really cares. Now imagine what happens when most of the content it just starts to happen, but the moment it gets connected, and you combine these two things, you combine the power of this like predictive social media technology or AI, plus LLMs posting content that they can test whatever they want to test.
Right.
And they can run tests at scale and identify what's working and what is not working. So when you combine both things, I think, at some point it's like suddenly, not only you can manipulate people at scale, you have the smartest intelligence ever created, dedicated to manipulate humans'
Right.
brains, right? So
Because neural networks don't know, right? They are just trying to maximize views or visits or clicks,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they do just learning human patterns. But these patterns are not only triggered by our what we believe is intelligence, is also our ego, our
mhm.
hormones, dopamine, all that, right?
Yeah,
It's all
yeah,
all
yeah,
in,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
just learn how to
yeah,
maximize all that.
yeah,
Therefore, they learn how to
yeah.
exploit
So
our
a lot of
weaknesses as
people,
well.
a lot of people has the misconception of there is someone very like an evil person behind designing all this intelligence so like social media so that they can manipulate everyone else to think like I don't think, because I have not been manipulated. I know the truth, but everyone else is wrong.
Exactly. That's what
And they are
everybody
in their
says.
they are in their echo chambers. And and then it's like, okay, so no, there's only one way for this not to happen. But I believe this is gonna be like necessary at some point. There's gonna be like a need for this. A need to protect, especially like children's brains from all this stuff, but also adults' brains because you can really hack. I mean, la language is the backdoor to hack brains and hack humans,
Right.
and that this like it's like it's dangerous. And I think the last thing that needs is a society that is ready to adopt. So I think AI adoption is like a grief process, and most of society is still in the denial stage.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's not. Like, I'm thinking of like AI at work, right? It's like no, this is not gonna do my work. It's never gonna be like a human.
And
And
if you think about it, it's the first time in human history where humans are listening to and reading language produced by something that is not another human.
correct.
And because the language is so well, it's so convincing, you think that behind these words there's also a human mind, but it's
Yeah,
not. It's
yeah.
a totally different thing.
And language is the coding of the brain. So
Right.
the coding of the
Right.
mind. This is how you code your mind.
That's
So
right. So
very dangerous.
large
Um,
language model just hacked our mind.
yeah, but think of like the like all the grief stages, like denial, anger, depression, bargain, acceptance.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think most of the people is like, nah, this is not. And then some people is like anger, like fighting it back, right? Trying to fight back. It's like, not gonna work.
No.
Not going, but this is where you see most of them is like, accepting that you are not gonna no longer gonna be needed for what you have been doing for centuries, like for all your life. Like not
Yeah,
a life and like any like the entire history, right? Like no, suddenly you're no longer needed for this. Um, but it's not the first time we see something like this. It's when you see that I always compare technology with what happened with a car and the horses, right?
right.
Um, so horses are so when the first cars started, there was like a lot of people saying, "Oh no, but the car will never do what the horse can do." Right? Okay. So, with a horse, it's not gonna look like you will never have an emotional connection, or you should not have an emotional connection with a car like you can have with an animal.
Right.
And it's true that except of like, certain cars, you mostly like your car is not gonna help you cross a river. You cannot cross a river with a car, like, on the car, right? But you
Right.
can do this with a horse, right? So
Yeah,
you have to do some sacrifices,
yeah,
and you're sacrificing is not going to look at you, the car. You can look at it, but it's not going to look back at you. But eventually, the benefits are so huge, so big that we're going to make the roads, and we're going to make gas stations and anything necessary for this to succeed and for this to happen. And I think AI is going to be the same
yeah. And
until everyone
horses
just
were
accepts
also
it.
dangerous. They would kill people now and then.
Cars also kill people, so
And
yeah.
cars too. Yes,
But
that's
yeah,
right.
but yeah, but maybe less. Yeah.
Pere, so you know a lot about startups,
Hmm.
starting your own company, navigating through founders. So in today's environment, right? So everything is trembling, everything is changing, everything is evolving so quickly, partially because of AI. Could you give us a couple of advices for founders now starting their companies?
Okay. First thing I would do is like rethink. Why do you really need to raise money or not,
Mhm.
and when? So this has changed. It
Huh.
is not as it was before. It's true that the VC market and fundraising market not in good shape, or I think it's in good. For some people, it's in good shape. So it really depends on what are you building. But the first thing is like, especially for the first time founders, they tend to underestimate how much they can do without just like with the founders. So what do you need the money for? Right? Think about it. If the money is to like hire more people and whatever, it's like, okay, why is it a problem now? Why do you need to hire? Like, how many people do you need to hire so that you need to raise money for this? And if the company is in a situation where the company is like growing and growing fast and so on, they'll probably find the money. So no problem. Like it's justified. You need to hire all these people because you're growing or you find product market fit and it's growing. But if that's not the case, and you just like feel like you need all this help from other humans, rethink it. Think of like how far can you go with AI and so on only with the founders. So you probably need a lot less money. Plus, more money, more people are not gonna solve the problem. 90% of the times, more money and more people do not solve the problem.
Right.
They are helpful for other things, but they don't solve the problems you have today, right?
Right.
So first thing I would do is like try to postpone hiring and postpone fundraising as much as you can until it's inevitable that you need money. And most investors will see this, right? Not most investors, like the investors that really understand your business and so on, right? Unless, hey, I need this money for certain like compute capacity that I cannot buy, and I'm doing something that is going to change the world. And then I would say, go pitch some VCs and see if you can find one that believes that this is going to change the world, which it could happen, but it's not going to be easy.
Right. Hey, so the audience here, all the entrepreneurs listening on how can they raise money? Well, don't. That's or
No,
not
do
not
it.
now,
Do,
not
do it at the
now.
right time.
Exactly.
But the thing is like with everything that founders can do alone, I think the big problem is defensibility, right?
Right.
Um, um, if you just like had an idea and you're now building an app or a piece of software, you're 10 years late. Right. So this is something that, any team of like 3, 4 people can just build. So this
Right.
is not defensible. If it's not, I would say like conventional SaaS today, conventional SaaS, it's or standard SaaS, it's like it happened the same to software than it happened to e-commerce in 2010, 2015. It's suddenly it's no longer investable. Right.
Right.
Well, anyone can have an e-commerce. Yeah, you can thrive with an e-commerce. You can see some exceptions, like some cases, but it's not that it's like something new anymore, right?
Right.
So you're not, good luck trying to get a venture capitalist interested in this. Maybe you need to find another type of investor, but it's not going to be a VC. Now, if you have something that's frontier technology, AI, I don't know, maybe Web3, things, stuff like this, that has a very strong defensibility, or I don't know how to phrase that, but yeah, enough defensive, yeah, strong defensibility, but
Mhm.
you have to work a lot on defensibility. Like, how am I gonna be different? Like, how am I gonna prevent, uh, from how am I gonna win other competitors when they emerge? And the problem with AI is that 90% of this used to be like typically it's like this happened because building software or building apps, it was hard, but now it's easy,
It's
right?
not, man.
So now it's like, you start 5 years before and 5 years later someone shows up and in a couple of months they have an exact copy of what you build,
All
right?
right. Yeah.
Um, so now the advantage is in data, and data typically is in the hands of those companies that already exist. And I think this is what like driving most of like VC nuts, which is they
Hmm.
don't find defensibility
Right.
in most of the projects, right?
Yeah.
Unless there is a way to generate kind of like a loop of data or like a new type of data that no one else has, or you're leveraging other type of like competitive advantages, like access to some database or access to some customers first, and then you can, suddenly take a market and be the first into taking it and build a relationship with a customer or whatever.
All
Um,
right.
but this is
Mhm.
hard but to do this, you have to prove that you can do this. So it's a very complex
It's
problem.
do your homework first, right?
That's
And
it.
then and then make sure you have this defensibility, and then yes, you
Or
can
not, or just go. And if you can have, can close customers
go ahead.
and
They
do it,
pay. Come
and,
on.
and they pay you, and you're probably going to have a great company. And if you don't take any dilution and you sell it for just a little money, it could be more than what you end up having when you end up selling your company after like 10 years and tons
Yes,
of
sir. I
time,
have
right?
seen this, and the years will not come back.
That's it.
Oh boy. All right. So AI, right? So what do you think is awaiting us with waiting for us in the future for AI? What is going to
Uh,
happen?
uh, I don't know, but I mean, I don't dare. I mean, if you asked me like a year ago, what are we gonna see this year? It would be like completely different, right? So here's my bet. My bet is on the consumer end. I think 2025. I mean, consumer and let's call it like also like B2B, but more like at an employee level or at a work like individual work level. I believe, or I want to believe, that 2025 is when we start co-living with AI.
Okay.
Like, it's
Like AI everywhere.
yeah, because these models are getting better and better and better. And now I remember I had like three calls one day, like also like in three conversations. They didn't even need to be like um, in a computer. They can be like anywhere else, right? Uh, but then it's like suddenly I need to send an email, kind of like, yeah, I'll discuss. This is like, let's do this and that and so on, right? And I started thinking like, if an AI had listened to the entire conversation, it could send the email.
Right.
And now we're seeing Claude, in the, using your laptops or using your computers,
Right.
so they can do it.
Yes.
And I started to think like, okay, yes, there are a lot of implications in having like something recording me all the time and seeing everything I see and hearing everything I hear. But if I could just like start it and stop it when I want, and just record the things that I think that I would like some help with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I don't know, that would be super helpful. And I think we're gonna start saying some of this next year. Like
Hmm.
this, I'm very interested in the future in the intersection of like robotics and AI and LLMs.
Hmm.
Um, I think this is gonna be like crazy, crazy dystopic future. That people cannot even imagine like themselves living with like a humanoid robots or things like this. Which I think it's gonna happen, right? It makes a lot of sense. So it's not that I think it's like it's already happening, but I think it's gonna be like massive adoption very quick. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, it's gonna be like you have your air fryer and your humanoid at home.
Your fridge,
Uh,
just your door has an entire AI. Just do it. Just open the door.
yeah, yeah, and the combination with LLMs, this is very interesting because like suddenly they have like everything to communicate with us. And
Yeah.
in enterprise, one thing I'm most excited about is vertical AI solutions.
Mm.
I think most of like the main enterprise AI use cases, they're gonna be like won by either Google or XAI or Amazon or any of the guys that already have the data.
Mhm.
And they will solve most of like the basic enterprise use cases, like the Word or Office of even Microsoft, right? So they're gonna solve most of these use cases.
Mhm.
But then I think just like it happened with software, this is gonna open the door for a lot of like vertical applications that these large companies are not gonna be interested in. It's like it's okay, but I'm fine. I want to sell them the spreadsheet. You sell them the refined solution, right? And even today, like most of the people is using the spreadsheet. So
That
it's
right.
like,
Yeah. 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 I
right?
don't know. And then do you remember the first time you used a spreadsheet? That was it's like, what is this? It didn't
I
look
don't
like
know.
very sophisticated, and now it's everywhere.
It was Lotus 1, 2, 3
Lotus 1, 2, 3. Oh boy.
on DOS.
Yeah, kind of. We've been out there for a while,
I was a
huh?
kid. I was still a kid. So I was like
Oh my
10, 10,
goodness.
12 years old. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah. So I think there's going to be like a big window of opportunity. The moment like these models get better, they get more precise, they make less mistakes, which is very, very close. I am one of the guys that I was saying everyone like, oh no, but these machines, they know how to trick you, but they don't reason. They don't, they're not able to like, be consistent. And this was like maybe like last year. And then suddenly it's like, yeah, they are good at reasoning. Yeah.
Yeah. I try to have my little problems written. It's like, okay, if you can solve that, you can reason to that level. And I still have a couple of riddles that AI
Mhm.
is unable to solve, but some of them have been already fallen in my own Torras kind of list. There's still
So there is like
some games there
the
that, yeah, exactly. It's like
there is
many of
Torras
these
problems.
of these castles have fallen, but there's still some remaining things
Okay,
that require a little bit of more intelligence.
good. Yeah, but I was like, well, for example, like, writing content, I was like, it's never going to be as authentic as a writer, never going to be as authentic as like, blah, 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 blah.
It's better,
No,
man.
just like you spend your time training the machine and you'll see how
Yeah.
it does it. Yeah.
Good prompting and you get good
Good
stuff.
prompting, good, additional knowledge,
Yeah.
knowledge bases.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah.
Awesome. All right, Pere, I want to be respectful with your time. I know you're super busy, but just one last question is, if the audience wants to contact you somehow, what would be the best way?
I think my like scandal, it's at Pere Codina.
Okay, okay.
That's
X
the best way.
handle. Awesome. And I'm still calling it Twitter. I'm sorry.
I like
I
living
know
in the
it's not,
future.
but hey.
It's Twitter, it's Twitter. It's only Twitter, yeah.
All right. Okay, Brett, thank you so much for being with us
Thank you
today.
very much.
All right, and for the audience, get ready because we have our next guest. Super excited to present our next one. So stay tuned because Torres A will come very soon. Thank you so much.